Hey, Twiss.
Yo,
What does the word sapphic mean to you?
Sapphic? I have no fucking clue.
It's all good. I'm your host, JJ, and this is our first episode of Unstrapped the Podcast. I'm so psyched. I love being able to say that out loud now. Unstrapped the Podcast is a raw, unfiltered space where masculine and lesbians like me and our guests today share our stories and everyday realities. Each episode, we're going to dive into identity, culture, relationships, and all the nuances of being a masculine presenting lesbian. Whether you're a part of the community or an ally, join us for real talk, humor, and insights that remind us that we're more alike than different. So unstrap, sit back, and relax. Let's get into it. Today's episode features a friend of the podcast that goes by Twiss. Our word of the day is sapphic, and our topic of the day is coming out. A little bit about our guest today. We met last summer at Queen's Pride Parade here in New York City. And fast forward, we are now fraternity brothers. I was even blessed to get my Greek name from them, and in return, I call them Young Pops. So Twiz, tell the listeners a few things about yourself. First of all, what do you identify as?
Well, I identify as a lesbian, a stud. That's it, pretty much.
Copy. What are your preferred pronouns?
I say he, him, she, her. It's me.
As you should be. As you should be. Can you tell us where we can follow you?
You can follow me on TikTok at TwissBoss5.
Copy. And them TikToks are quite interesting, y'all. At least tune in once a day.
Come see me.
All right. Last question. Let our listeners know, are you team strapped or unstrapped?
I definitely strap. I definitely strap.
Yo.
You know, that's just me. Gotta do it. Gotta have it.
I'm here for it. This is our first episode, so I do want to let everyone know what's about to go down on this podcast if you didn't get the chance to check out our trailer. We have a very simple structure here, and we're kind of going through it now. Right now, we're in the introduction section. We get to meet our awesome host of the day. We may have one, we may have 2, 3, or 4. My goal is to make sure that it's someone new every single time, if possible. And if we bring someone back, it's because you guys called them back. With that being said, we're going to jump into another segment called Temperature Check. This is a chance for us to kind of check in on each other in a very real way. And it's going to be really interesting because in some cases, I'm going to be talking to someone that I know, and I'm going to call them the friend of the podcast. And sometimes I'm not going to know who they are. That's going to be a guest of the podcast. And so this is going to be a really cool way to see how we feel about each other in real time. Right after that, we're going to get into doom scrolling. Anything that we find really funny on, the interwebs or something interesting in the news, we're going to bring it to your attention. And we're going to tell you how we feel about it, from our perspective. And the last part of the show is Aight, so boom. Honestly, I'm not sure where the hell it came from. As a New Yorker, I hear this shit all the time. But it's the best way to start an epic story. So if you're really trying to get into some stuff, Aight, so boom is how we're going to start it off. We're going to be sharing our thoughts and stories about the main topic of the day. And what's a better way to start a podcast than to have a coming out story? So both of us are going to share our coming out stories. So that's going to be really, really dope time for us to really get to know each other and for you to get to know us.
Yeah.
And then we're just going to, wrap up the show. Sound good?
Sound good to me.
All right. So temperature check. What's on your mind? What's on your mind nowadays?
Like everybody else, I'm trying to figure out how to survive with all this stuff going on. That's pretty much it. That and trying to plan a wedding.
Yeah, man. I know something we do relate on is we're both engaged.
Right.
You have your wedding planned, at least in terms of, when you get married.
Yeah.
Way better where I am. I'm definitely in a place where it will come when it comes, right?
Mm-hmm.
I will let the date find me, right? Being real weird and spiritual with it. That's dope. And I can imagine, the world is in a weird place right now, depending on how you see it. And we ought to try to, navigate it the best way we can.
Yeah. Figure it out. What's the next move? I think everybody is trying to figure out that next move right now.
Yeah, man. I know heavy on my mind is a little bit of grief, not to start off things on a sad note, right? Like with grief comes, a lot of lessons learned and a lot of love to now give to others, right? But coming up for me is the anniversary of my brother's death. And the reason why I only bring it up is, yes, like there's that moment of like, that person isn't here, we're sad. And that's okay. But then again, things like therapy, which I highly subscribe to, helps me through that.
Right.
But what I do love about it is now when I think about his anniversary coming up and his death, I think about how much I have gained in terms of great relationships since then,
Right.
and how that feels like a gift.
Right.
And so like that's really been heavy on my mind. And also I feel like, depending on which family member I'm talking about, and I'm going to be super blunt about that, I got no good ties with family, keep it a bean. In some cases, it's brought me closer to others, especially my mother. So I'm bringing up grief not to talk about something negative, but like, I don't think people talk about them positives because it's hard, but like they don't talk about them positives too much.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Grief makes you realize a lot of things that you wasn't really thinking about before. And
Yeah.
it makes you have connections with people that may have always been there, but you may not have had that connection with. But it can make you closer and talk about and open up,
Yeah.
open up that bridge.
I love that. And jumping back into the item we both share in common. So, what's been the hardest part about planning a wedding for you?
Man, listen. Ladies. And I'm talking to my femme ladies. If you're engaged to that stud, that mask, and y'all planning a wedding, let him get one choice option, something, say so. Or two, maybe.
Man.
It's like, I love the process because, the end result is going to be a beautiful thing. It just takes a lot to get there because I didn't know you ladies had all these decisions and things y'all wanted to do when it comes to a wedding.
You see me not running.
Man, I'm like, I didn't know it took all this, bro.
Honestly, I hear you and I feel you. I think, especially when it comes to weddings, I feel like major ceremonies, I feel like as a masculine and lesbian, it's kind of weird. Like everything from like, what are you finna dress? Like, and, how are they dressing? Especially if it's like a wedding, right? And who's paying for this? Comes into question, right? Like there's a lot that goes on in your mind. And it just reminds me, like, weddings are chaotic as fuck. And now I'm understanding. I just got to the age where I'm like, oh, I get this City Hall shit. Yeah, that shit's sounding real good right now. 100%.
The biggest part for me is the family I do have is not necessarily blood. So everybody around me that's supporting me supporting us rather, and going through this with us and doing everything, it's all about loyalty and love right now. It's not
right.
so much blood from my perspective, because my family don't really agree with my lifestyle. So I don't have a lot of family members that's going to come and support my day. Like, oh, we're happy for you. You want to be here. So it's like, I take love where love is given. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate my org family and my brothers and sisters around me 100% that are here and accept me for me, So that's the biggest part of this.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I feel like something I am grateful for that is a little different in my situation, right, is that even though I don't think I'm accepted in my family for different reasons, I feel like I love, like I said, the other relationships that I have, like I'm hyper aware of them and how they play a big part in things like this. Like when I think about, oh, who do I want there when I get married? I'm like, there's some people in this life, there's a lot of people in this life I value, like deeply, and they value me the same way I value them, and they show up when I need them, and I show up for them.
And those are people you should keep close around you.
Facts. Those are the people getting the free meal on the wedding day. You heard? Nah, I'm playing.
Come eat.
But but on all seriousness though, that's definitely something to be thankful about. You wanna tell the listeners, what you do for a living? Just just some fun facts.
Well, I'm a hab worker, so what I do is I take people with special needs out. I have one client, he's really cool. Like, if you check my TikTok out, you'll see him, and we do a lot of content together. He's really funny.
Facts.
Come check us out, yo.
Facts. Since everyone is just now getting to meet me, I'm in the tech world, right? I'm pretty sure most of my friends would describe me in some type of nerdy fashion. And I'm cool with that, right? Like, nerds are doing very well right now, right? We've been up for a minute. With that being said, I've been in the tech world for now a decade, which makes me sound old. But, I love it. Like, I love working with the technologies that, like, I spend all this money at home for. Like,
right.
I can say, I helped build that, or, I know how that really works behind the scenes. Like, I love
good.
Stuff like that.
It's gotta feel good.
I love stuff like that. And that's why I was so eager to jump into this whole podcasting thing, too, because I'm like, all right, so some of this is, like, one part tech, other part creative stuff, and then the other part business. I think I can figure it out. And I was like, all right, let's do it. Let's do it. That's not like me, though. I don't like doing stuff at random. I'm not the jumping off the cliff kind of person.
Like you said, your brother's anniversary is coming up. So maybe he gave you that push that you needed. Maybe he's here right now.
It's crazy. I was saying the same thing to my fiance. I'm just like, I rarely ever say spiritual stuff. But the way I felt like his presence been around me, right. I thought he was the kitten the other day. I'm not going to lie. But then again, I had a couple of drinks in my system. So I didn't know which one was which. But I was both. I was convinced that this kitten was like, because I hate cats. I hate cats. And I love this kitten. I hate cats. Love the kitten. My brother was obsessed with cats when he was alive. I'm like, nah, don't be like those BET movies and it becomes like, what if? And then like
reincarnation type shit.
I have no time for this. I have no time for this. I can't. I can't.
You don't know.
But, it's just something that's been on my mind and what I've been thinking about. So, if that is the case, I'm welcoming it. That's what I'm going to say. I'm welcoming it.
It's new beginnings.
That's a fact. But yeah, let's jump into our next segment, doom scrolling. So, like I said, this is a really cool time to bring up, what we've been seeing on the, I call it the interwebs. I'm never going to call it, like, the internet. That sounds really cool, and I'm not cool. So, interweb sounds way better, for my personality. But yeah, what you've been browsing on TikTok or Instagram, unless there's a new app that I don't know about, it's okay.
Nah, I be on TikTok a lot. So I'll probably be doing more posting than scrolling, but it's just a lot of funny things going on TikTok. But I'm trying to learn the new dances, man. Every time I turn around, it's a new one. It's like, damn, let me learn the last one before y'all put another one out. I can't keep up.
I mean, at least you tried.
I'm, trying to get this weight off.
I'm not going to lie.
Dance it off.
I would love, if you are listening to this podcast and you feel like you're social media savvy, which we are clearly not, please tell me how the hell you guys get to these trends before the rest of us, like aunties and uncles, because I'm not going to lie, I find out trends like a year later. Like, no exaggeration. I'll be like, oh, that little dance, like, that's really, really cute. Maybe I'll kind of figure it out. And I'll be so late with it. And I'm like, how?
Word, help auntie out.
What is it? Right. Help us out.
Help auntie. Come see me.
It's crazy. I will say, when it comes to coming up with this podcast and being, like, more in tune with my masculine lesbian self, right? It feels almost like, I don't know. It feels almost out of body. I feel like I've been looking at more stuff on TikTok related to us, right? Mm. And shout out to this younger generation. I finally feel older because I love how bold we are. And by we, I know it's not me. I don't have the audacity or the balls for it. But people are talking about their sexual lives like in crazy detail on TikTok, like to the point where I'm finally uncomfortable. But I finally found something that I was comfortable with. And look, I'm on a podcast called Unstrapped, but there's like this TikToker, and I know I'm not going to bring up their name really fast. Maybe next episode I'll remember. But they just talk about how to use a strap in detail. Like, and it's like mad episodes. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Well, damn. I didn't even think about breaking it down into mad episodes. You feel me? Like, what?
I guess it's better than going around trying to figure it out.
And I loved it. Like, it was educational. It was like, what are straps and, like, what are the different types of ones? What, like, everything from maintenance. And I was like, I love this. But the way, like, before I turned 20, hell no, I would have never did that. In my mid-20s, no. In my 30s now, hell nah. I don't think I'm ever going to have that level of confidence to be like, I'm on TikTok. Here's how to use a strap.
Just trying to teach somebody.
Like,
And baby stuff, they might need to learn some stuff.
that's crazy. Like, the rest of us had to just figure it out.
I definitely did.
Unless, unless someone has a mentor. I would love to hear that story. If someone had a mentor, please let me know. I'd be very curious about how that went down. But, yeah, that's cool. Like, I know some people probably see it the opposite way, and they're like, that's wrong. But it's like, nah, because if you telling me I could do this and get paid potentially, yo, I'm here for it.
Listen, I had some trial and errors when I came. I had to figure it out. There was no videos for me.
Sheesh. No, for real, for real. But in something more serious, though, because what I do love about talking to my brother is we can talk nonstop about absolutely nothing.
Right.
But we're sitting next to, someone who has their very strong political views. And even though this isn't a political podcast, there are things in this world that sometimes affect us in harsher ways than they're intended to.
Right.
And one of those things are just laws, right? Especially here in the U.S. Depending on where you were on the aisle or if you're even on the aisle, like, you're either really, really happy, really, really sad, mad, or scared, or just, like, completely checked out. And so, like, I just want to give y'all a quick update and something I read about, and I'm just curious about what your opinion is.
All right, cool.
So, in this news report, it says the ACLU reports a surge in anti-LGBTQ plus legislation in the U.S. And it says that the ACLU is tracking 569 anti-LGBTQ bills introduced across the U.S. And it goes on to say that they're targeting transgender individuals, especially youth, and cover a wide range of restrictions like healthcare restrictions. So, proposing to ban or limit access to gender-affirming care for minors. Identity, documentation barriers. So they're trying to stop people from updating their gender markers on their IDs, which is, once again, why are people stressed about stuff like this?
Sad.
They have expression limitations. Bills aiming to restrict public expressions of LGBTQ identities, including drag performances and LGBTQ plus topics in schools. Once again, why are people stressed? Also, the last several drag performances I've gone to, everyone there was hetero.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
I hate how people treat the transgender community and the drag queen community specifically. It really gets under my skin, but let me just keep jumping into this, right?
It just says what it is. They good to watch as a show, but not good enough to support. And that's just a sad situation.
That describes almost all of, like, MTV, VH1.
Right.
We're all a show, but jumping back into this, something else that's on the list, religious exemptions, legislation allowing individuals or businesses to deny services to LGBTQ people based on religious belief. And it's unfortunate that anything like this is being spoken about. And just in case if you're listening and you just want to keep up and check this out for yourself, you can go to aclu.org /legislative attacks on LGBTQ rights 2025. You can check that tracker there. But, what are your thoughts?
It's a fight that we have to fight. And it's like we came so far, and they don't like it. And They it's like, it's sad because people never really agreed with our lifestyle in certain things, and I feel like people had a mask on when it came to certain things, and now you have someone in office who's like, no, we're not doing this, we're not doing that, this is wrong. So now it's like everybody want to take their mask off. Oh, I was against it anyway. You know what I'm saying? And it's really a sad situation because you're dealing with people's lives. Like, you know what I'm... And it's like, here we go. People feel like scared. You know, scared to be themselves. Scared to live. Walk down the street. Dress as a man. Dress as a woman. Because you don't know what's going to happen right now. Because we really are under attack. Not just through the laws and through papers, but physically. We are under attack out here. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a sad situation, and you can only hope and pray that, you know, we can get through it and certain things don't happen, but it's going to take us all to stand together and keep moving as a big movement to stop this.
Yeah. And you know, my initial thoughts are, I'm always seeing things from a corporate lens, and that's because of what I do for a living, right? And like in my head, I always ask, what's like the most selfish question you can ask about? Like why any of these issues even being spoken about in the way they are at this point? We should be progressing forward, not backwards. And I always ask myself the question, so how much money? How much money is someone making off of any of this?
There's always money.
It always comes down to money or religion or, you know, people are using religion in the front, but in the back, they're really just focused on the money, right? They're using religion as that cover, but in reality, they're just concerned about how much money they can make off of these things. And I just want to know, is there a place I can go to where someone tells me that piece we don't want to talk about, but we know in the back of our heads it's real, you feel me? Because I feel like most decisions in this world that affect us the way they do are usually based in money. People just don't want to say that. Because that doesn't sound good. Right? If I'm like, hey, I don't want you to change your ID to match who you are. Right? I don't care what anyone else is saying who you are. You know who you are. Right. So my ID should reflect that. You feel me? Like, I shouldn't be stopped to spend my money somewhere because of what I identify as a person or just sexually or whatever. Like, that should never be the case. And here we are debating. Debating.
To live our own lives.
Right.
To be who we are.
So, yeah, all I'm saying is just show me the money. Like, show me who is benefiting the most from this and show me literally what is it worth it? Whatever number you're getting from these actions, because all the people involved are making money in my head. What is the number where it's like, yo, I can go to sleep good at night, knowing what I'm doing to all of these other human beings, our brothers and sisters, our cousins, however you see the rest of humanity, like, what is the number? I just want to see it. I just want to see it.
Sometimes it's like this country thrives on hate. It needs to hate somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. But, yeah, I just feel like it's definitely something that people who are listening to this, whether you're, like I said, a part of the community or an ally, I feel like I don't want to ever force people to feel like they need to be political. Because once again, I used to be politically active. I really was. I was on it. I was part of the Democrat Club. I was going to all my precinct meetings. I was a part of the community board. I was really on my shit. And I was working full-time and going to school full-time. But it was a lot. I was tired. But anyway, point is, my goal isn't to make people choose a side politically or you need to become political activists. I think everyone should, like, once in a blue moon, dive into the news just so at least they're not completely lost in the sauce.
People need to be conscious about what's going on.
You may not need to make a decision on how you feel about the information. You just need to consume it.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. You got to be better than me on catching up with the latest TikTok trend when it comes to what's happening around you. So that when you are ready to make decisions about that information, you are informed.
Exactly.
You are informed. And not from a third party. You're informed from the efforts you make.
Exactly.
Right? So that's all I'm saying, y'all.
Do your research.
Do your research. Please do not make me the source. Please, please, please. Because, y'all, like I said, I already have a full-time job. I'm tired. I know Twiss, like...
Right, find out what's going on in the world because it affects everybody. No matter who you are, gay, straight, in between, it affects everybody.
Right. But yeah, I appreciate that. And like I said, I always appreciate your views, even when we're not on pod. But just like, even right now, like,
absolutely,
we need to hear from each other.
Right.
And that's why it's important to, have real representation on the pod.
Appreciate
but
it.
We're going to get into, the good stuff.
Let's go.
This is Aight, so boom, right? We're going to really get into the topic of the day. And like I said, the topic of the day are just our coming out stories.
Hey.
And so, if you would mind giving the listeners a little insight into what your life was like, and how far you want to kind of go into that story.
Ah, man. My coming out story. Alright, so, boom. I'm a little older, so when I came out, it's not like how it is now. You know what I'm saying? Now it's a little bit more accepted, like, okay, you're gay, okay. You like to dress like that, okay. It's not really so much. When I came out in the 90s, it wasn't all this. It wasn't accepted so much. So I remember being in high school. I pretty much always knew I liked girls growing up. Like, I kissed my first girl when I was like 11. Shh, don't tell nobody, y'all. Don't tell nobody. But when I actually came out, so I was in high school, and there was a group of people in high school, and everybody called them the gay group.
Copy.
It was a group of kids in school, and everybody knew they were gay or whatever. And I knew a few people in the group or whatever, so I pretty much started, hanging out with them because, I knew what I liked. You know what I'm saying? I just never wanted to go towards it. Mind you, my brother was in school with me, my younger brother, so I started hanging out with them, going out with them, and, meeting girls and stuff and hanging out. So, I got open. It was over. It was over. I was about 15, 16. So, I didn't really get to actually come out for myself, bro. Like, it's crazy. From just me hanging out with them and stuff, my brother went back home. Now, my parents are very religious people.
Yeah.
Like, my dad's a pastor. My mom's the first lady. So being gay in my house, there was no such thing as that. Like, you just didn't do that. Absolutely not. You know what I mean? So my brother went home, and he's like, oh, she's at the school hanging out with the gay people. She's gay. They're saying she's gay at school.
Damn.
So I went home. Excuse me. I went home, and my parents asked me at first. I'm like, huh? What are you talking about? Where'd you hear that from? Nah, I'm not gay. Not me. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of denied it because I knew in my house it was like, it was no such thing as that. Like, you just didn't do that. You know what I'm saying? So eventually it was just like, yeah, this is me. This is who I am. I just got to be me. Eventually I ended up getting kicked out, but it was what it was. I came out the closet. I'm here. And, hey, I don't regret it.
Did they kick you out when you were snitched on? Or did they kick you out, like, were there other incidents and it was like, nah, this one for sure is gay?
It was other incidents after that. And I think it was this spot we used to go to, and it was actually for, like, younger gay people. Like, we wasn't old enough to get into no gay clubs, you know what I'm saying? We were in high school, so it was this place called the Coffee House out here that was, a little place where you go to meet up with other people trying to figure themselves out, gay people, lesbian people, stuff like that. They also had counseling on premises, which was really cool, to help people go through, like, situations I was going through.
Right.
Like, so I actually had counseling there, so it was really cool. You know what I'm saying? But it was just hard. I was going through a situation. It was one night I went to the coffee house. We was hanging out, and I got dropped off up the block because, remember, I'm not supposed to be hanging out with the gay people.
Right.
So I got dropped off up the block, and not knowing that my mom was watching out the window, waiting for me to come home. Yeah. So.
Oh.
Yeah. Lolo was in that window. She wasn't playing.
Not Lolo.
So. So I went in the house, and let's just say it was really ugly, and we got into it really bad, and, you know, I ended up getting kicked out of my house, and, you know, I went through a lot, you know what I'm saying, just trying to come out and be me, and it had such a negative effect on me. It affected how I looked at myself. For a long time. I hated who I was, because I was so used to, like, them telling me, no, like, you're bad, you're the devil, you're going to hell, like, you know, this is the devil. Like, I went through so much hearing that, you know, getting a Bible for Christmas one year with the section about homosexuality highlighted in the Bible, like, and I was like, that hit different.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, damn, I felt like, well, if my peoples are telling me this, I gotta be this. I gotta be this bad if they're saying this to me, because why would they lie to me? Like, you understand what I'm saying? So it took a lot for me to really say, you know what? I came out. This is me. I went through this. There's nothing wrong with me. I have my own relationship with God. You know what I'm saying? I don't need nobody to tell me, oh, well, you can't have a relationship with God because you live this lifestyle. Why? Why can't I? I talk to him. I pray to him. We have our own relationship. I don't need nobody to do that for me.
Right.
And I damn sure don't need nobody to tell me I'm not good enough. You know what I'm saying? So coming out back then was a lot harder and a lot different. And I can only hope now parents are much easier on their kids and understand it definitely has an effect on them in the future. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to come out to you. Just talk to them. Even if you don't agree with them, try to understand them. Take that time and, you know, get to know who they really are. Because they're trying to tell you and show you who they are.
Right.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I really do appreciate you sharing that. Because I'm not going to lie, your coming out story aligns with the majority of the coming out stories I've heard in my life.
Right.
And it's kind of like, it's just exile.
Mm-hmm.
And like, what's interesting about my story is I was under the impression, because of everyone else's, that was supposed to be my fate. Right. So when I decided to come out, I remember I knew I was gay. I've been gay like the ointment. Let me tell you, the people I was crushing on, and I can only admit that now as an adult, but like, my head was going wild at a very early age, and it felt so wrong, because I went to Catholic school, and, you know, I wouldn't say I was religious, but I was surrounded by nothing but religious folk. Period.
So you got used to hearing certain.
You know what I mean? And so, and then also being born and raised in the projects where mostly everyone is black and brown,
right.
Everyone's opinion is in my head as a kid, right? Yeah. Whether it's right or wrong, ignorant, doesn't matter. So there was a lot going on in my mind by the time I was like, all right, I'm gay. And I came out in like mental phases. Like, I didn't even come out. Like, I didn't have I don't know how y'all do it, but like, I was just like, nah, I'm just telling people I'm bi. No one believed it, right? Because I was like tomboy X, like extreme. There was no way I was straight, but everyone's like, all right, cool, you a tomboy. I bet, you bi. I came out as bi. I even like fake dated a guy when I was younger, just to keep this like story going. It was like my best friend at the time. And like, I would just go to his house all the time to play Xbox. But you don't expect like little girls going to someone's house unless it's for some nasty. Mm-hmm. But for me, I was like, yo, I'm poor. You got an Xbox in the crib? Man, we fucking this up. So I'm like, all right, cool. I had this fake boyfriend thing going. But then I was like, I couldn't hide it anymore. Like, once I started like dating, and when I was in my whole phase, it was terrible. When I was dating, I was just like, damn. Like, I don't know how much I can hide this. You know what I mean? Right. So I remember when I told myself, yo, I'm coming out. I'm like, look, I know my family is homophobic, but they're the type of homophobic where they're not going to say, I hate gays. They're going to be literal about it. They're the type where they just throw shade at us for no reason at our family function. Like, no one's even talking about gay folk. They're going to say something ignorant. All right, cool. I was like, all right, my family doesn't like gays. I packed up all of my shit, organized it. I still got that bag to this day into this giant rolling duffel. and like a book bag. And I was like, all right, I'm going to tell my mom and I'm going to be on the way out. You get what I mean? I was going to hit her with a drive-through.
You was already ready.
I was ready. And I went into her room and I was like, I forgot what I was going to tell her, but what came out of my mouth was just like, I'm gay. Like, I had a speech. It was just like, yo, I'm gay. And what my mother says next had me fucked up. I'm ready for her to punch me, knock me the fuck out, curse me out, da-da-da. Oh, I've eaten pussy too.
Oh, damn.
I said, what? Yo.
Mama.
I'm 31. My mama is 73 right now. She had me when she was like 40. Hearing my mother at that point, she was already in her 50s, talking about eating pussy,
wow,
had me fucked up. Because she wanted to get into detail with it.
Damn.
And then I went from like...
She trying to make sure you're doing it right, bro.
What? Now, let's be clear. I have a beautiful mom, very feminine. I've never seen her, I don't know, looking like Kehlani. I don't know. It was weird. That woman reads her Bible every day. It was weird. But she was like, yeah. And she's like, oh, yeah, that's why you never hear me talk about being with men when I had your brothers. And I was like, you're right. But you were always dating. I never put one and one together. That's not my business. I was staying out of grown folk business. Right. But whatever. She told me that. All right, cool. Now things de-escalate and I'm crying on her shoulder, just down the third. I'm like, all right. But then every single time I told somebody else, it was either everyone already knew or they were like, wow, we just thought it was just a tomboy phase. I was like, all right, bet. But I was just like, all right, this is kind of cool. Yo, after that, I had some of the gayest moments in the world. You hear me out when I say that. I just remember I started telling people and everyone's like, oh, you're gay? Here, meet the other gays. And I'm like, what? And people kept connecting me with people in their life that was gay, because I guess that's a thing. And I'm not going to lie, after that, I had a really great time. And I felt bad when I started hearing like really sad stories about coming out, because I remember once I came out and I actually said I'm a lesbian, right? Not bi. I couldn't rock that for too long.
Right.
But I was like, I'm a lesbian. It is what it is. I just remember I went to a place called Queen's Pride House. Have you ever heard of the Pride Houses?
Yeah. So
if you don't know what I'm talking about, listener, there are like these organizations. I think they're either all over the U.S. or just in New York. But they're called Pride Houses. This idea that they're safe spaces for, LGBTQ, IA plus individuals. And honestly, anyone can kind of roll in, right? And it's just a place where, you can just hang out. Like, there's no agenda. You don't pay for it. And so I was put on to the Queen's Pride House, right, nearby where I live. And I got to hang out with a whole bunch of, like, people like me, at least queer, not studs or masculine lesbians, like me. And when I say it just felt like home. Right. You couldn't tell me. Like, I know I still went back home to the projects at the end of the day, but you could not tell me that being around my people felt like home. I never felt home in my own home. Never felt home in, honestly, any of my family homes. Because I never felt accepted and loved just for who I am, right? I got to hide parts of who I am, so.
People don't understand how important inclusion really is.
Yeah. I was so scared in my head. And for good reason. Because, like I said, for many others out there, even someone listening right now, that is probably not your story. Like, I remember while I was at Queen's Pride House, one of the saddest things I saw in real time was someone I still consider a good friend right now was, going through their transgender journey from female to male. And so I met them as in their female situation. And they told me they were transgender, I want to say within like a year and a half too. Like, we finally got comfortable enough and they, let me know. And, I appreciated it because I didn't grow up ever meeting someone who was transgender. And you got to understand, when that's the case for you, everything you say just sounds ignorant, and it's not even on purpose. It's just like, oh,
it's a whole new world.
What? Like, so I learned so much from them and their journey, but I watched them get thrown out of their childhood home, them and their whole family just get tossed because of who they are. And I watched them struggle to try to make it out here in New York City. It's just hard. Like, it's hard. Like, you're going through your transition and you're going through other things, but the other things usually caused by people, and it's because it's about your transition. Like, that's not cool. And I'm not gonna lie, it's the reason, they're part of the reason why I go so hard for the community. Anyway, man, I don't want to, like, kind of go off on a tangent, just talking about their story. I just want to be respectful for the fact that they're not here. And for that reason, I think maybe I'm just going to chillax on going through their stuff. But all I just want to say is, like, there's a lot of people out there, whether it's like their coming out story or just not being treated with respect and love from their family and friends,
right,
and are now going through a difficult time because of it. This is a reoccurring story we hear in our communities every single day. And because of that, I have a different appreciation for my coming out story, right? Like, you know, mine is on the kind of funny side, whereas that's not the case for others. And it allows me to say, okay, cool. Here's how I'm going to treat people in general, because you never know what they've gone through, right, or what they are going through. So, you know, just, you know, leave them with some respect, some love. If that's the thing you can give out to the world, you know, cool. Maybe that's the most, like, religious-ish I'll get. Maybe just trying to be kind and be a nice person. But all those other rules, we'll talk about those later. But anyway, everyone, thank you so, so much. If you've made it this far, we're at the end of our show. I am so grateful and thankful in all of the words in between to have you on the pod today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate being here. I had a lot of fun with you. You guys, appreciate you, for real, for real.
Yeah,
and congratulations, for real.
I appreciate it.
Your first episode, you starting this podcast. Yeah. You did
yes,
that.
real
I'm
clap.
Proud of you. I'm happy for you.
Nah, I appreciate it, truly, just because, yeah, I can go on I talk a lot, y'all. I'm trying so hard to not talk your ear off, but there was a lot of thought that went into this podcast. There was a lot of heart that went into this podcast, and there was a lot of fear that went into this podcast. And so I'm glad to be able to do this recording right now, because I know I am nervous recording, and I'm going to be even nervous publishing this.
Right.
But thank you so much for being a listener, whether you're a part of the strapped or unstrapped community, whether you are a masculine and lesbian, a different label, a part of the LGBTQA plus community, or just an ally, or just whatever. You're not identifying as anything. You're just chilling on the sofa, hopefully, eating some good snacks, and it's enjoying this podcast. I appreciate you for tuning in. We have so many people to meet, so many stories to tell, and so many people to connect with. And I'm so excited that I get to be a part of this journey, and I hope you stay on there with us. If you want to, stay on this journey with us when we're not releasing a show, you can find us at any social media page at Unstrapped the Podcast. Yes, you have to type in the whole thing, Unstrapped the Podcast. Bless your heart if you just put the word unstrapped in the wrong search engine. That's on you. But follow us there, any social media. You also can DM us. Yes, I check my DMs. And ask us a question. And you will most likely hear it on an episode. And then also, if you can, share this with someone in your life that you feel like would resonate with some of these stories, or just kind of the vibe we're putting out there. And yeah, can't wait to see you next time.